Today we're going to be talking about how teaching sex ed versus abstinence affects teens. A study carried out by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in 2011 said that over 47% of teens have had sex. Out of the 50 states, only 24 of them teach sex ed, but only 13 out of the 24 are medically accurate. That's less than half of American teens getting the sex ed that they need. Some of the reasons why sex ed is important is on the board. The first reason is it teaches teens how to be safe. In sex ed, you learn about different types of birth control, such as the pill and condoms. The second reason is there are many myths that teens tend to believe. One being that if you do it and do it, the guy's sperm count does decrease, which is false. And I found that on bedsider.com. And then the last one is abstinence programs don't work. There are many studies that we found while doing our research showing that they just don't work, because even if you do attend it, there are teens that will still have sex.
At the start of 1981, the Adolescent Family Act, also known as AFLA, stirred up abstinence-only program problems. The AFLA was designed to encourage adolescents to postpone sexual activity until marriage, emphasizing chastity and self-discipline. The AFLA was to promote adoption as the preferred option of teenage pregnancy. This didn't mean that teenagers weren't still having pregnancies that they didn't want. Even having a pregnancy at an early age can cause medical problems for teenagers. This led to the 1988 Act of Bowen versus Kendrick. It challenged the AFLA on established cause grounds that reached the Supreme Court. They have proved the AFLA is not constitutional. Then in 2000, when Congress created a third abstinence-only education program, grants were made available directly to community-based, including faith-based organizations. This funding scheme was extremely restrictive, requiring that programs target adolescents ages to 12 to 18, teach all components of the 8-part definition of abstinence only, and in most cases, refrain from providing young people without the information of contraception of safe sex practices. Then in 2000, nearly half of the states had decided against applying for state-based abstinence-only education due to both its restrictions and the requirement that states contribute matching funds. Then near 2009, Obama had a solution to create that eliminated most federal funding for abstinence-only sex education programs, placing it with funding for programs that have been proven effective through rigorous evaluation to delay sexual activity, increase contraception use without increasing sexual activity, or to reduce teen pregnancy. These programs will permit discussion of birth control, and an official from the administration has been reported to have said that abstinence-only education programs will have a hard time meeting this criteria.
Though abstinence may be the only way to 100% prevent STDs and unplanned pregnancy, as Maddie stated before, when it comes to a time for a teen to have sex, they will still make the decision to do it, but if they were taught abstinence, they will not have the knowledge beforehand how to protect themselves. In this graph taken from the article Teens on Sex Education, you see that 36% of teens felt that they were taught an abstinence-only program. Among those 36%, they all said that the abstinence-only program was not very helpful to them, and that they wish they would have been able to learn about contraceptives. Culturally, teaching sex education in Africa is frowned upon. This is preventing teens from learning how to protect their bodies, but from the article South African Teachers' Reflection on the Impact of Culture on Their Teachings of Sexuality, teachers showed they believed sex needed to be taught since they knew their kids in their class were still having sex. As the Pope's beliefs have previously been towards abstinence, his mind has changed in order to protect the human population. He stressed that abstinence was the best policy in fighting the disease, but in some circumstances, it was better for a condom to be used if it protected the human life. This is significant because due to the teachings within Catholic schools, as they will still push abstinence, they can begin to explain the importance of using a condom and birth control. A study released in April by Mathematica Policy Research looked at 4 promising sex ed programs. These teens in these programs were no more likely to delay their first sexual experience, have fewer partners, or use condoms within their peers who didn't have a sex ed class. All three of these discuss abstinence in a way, but they all fight for safe sex to be taught within schools.
The first quote shows that doctors want comprehensive sex ed to be taught because many teens in abstinence programs still might want to have sex, but they won't know how to do it safely, so this will lead to unwanted pregnancies and possibly STIs that can affect them for the rest of their lives. And in the second quote, research published in the Journal of Adolescence Health and externally concluded that most doctors think that comprehensive sex ed should also be taught in schools. This is because when it's taught, there is a lower risk of STIs and unwanted pregnancies. And this is important because from these two that show the same thing, we can show that abstinence programs don't work. If you look at the graphs that we passed out beforehand, you can see that Ohio is right here. Out of all these things that should be in comprehensive sex ed, Ohio is only mandated to teach it and stress abstinence, but it does not have to be medically correct. So the sex ed that you guys have learned could be possibly wrong, and you don't know about all of the contraceptives that you could know about. And then, and the second thing, you can see that this image shows that the teen pregnancy rates in Ohio are surprisingly low, even though it is not medically accurate. We can see this because Ohio does stress abstinence, so we can connect these two together, that abstinence programs might work, but from the evidence that Lily and Maddie showed, they don't work as well.
Is teaching safe sex or abstinence better? It all depends on the person themselves. Begin with learning both methods. Take the time to research both abstinence and safe sex. This will help lead into the second solution, which is to decide for yourself. Decide which method is closer to personal beliefs instead of giving in to what people have told you to do. Finally, continue to do research after you have made a decision to decide for yourself. Deciding for yourself can relieve stress from your life and make you feel closer to your personal beliefs instead of being told what to do.
Since you are learning both methods of sex ed, the process can be way more time consuming and some people just aren't willing to give that up. In order to decide for yourself, you may have to go against what people want you to do. This means you could even be going against what your religion and or culture, which people around you may look down upon. Finding the right person can be hard for some people that may not agree with your decision, and not everyone knows the answer to your questions. Overall, if you can overcome these limitations, the solution will benefit your life choices by relieving stress from your life.
In conclusion, teaching sex ed does help teens make the right decision for themselves, which means sex ed and abstinence should both be taught because they can both positively affect teens, as shown in our presentation. And then,
Okay, a couple of questions for you. The first one is for Hannah. In reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that the group identified?
Can you repeat the question for me?
Yeah, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that the group identified?
So the problem that we identified was that abstinence tended to be stressed in public schools, but we found a lot of research that showed that abstinence did not affect teens positively, and by teaching sex ed, it would affect them better. So in Lily's findings, that's where we found most of our research for the problem, and it helped me create my own argument for my research that I put in the presentation.
Okay, thanks. Maddie, you're next. What's an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to exclude from the team presentation, and why?
So part of my lens was historical, and part of our solution was limiting government funds, and instead of just having abstinence funding, we just decided since all of our forget another solution that was the same, like, of, just having teenagers have the option to pick if they want to learn abstinence or if they want to learn safe sex. So that's what we took out, abstinence funding.
Okay, and then Lily, what do you think the strongest counter argument to the solution or conclusion your team identified was, and why?
I think our greatest counter argument would be the going against what you've been taught, because everything around you influences you. If you go to church, you might be taught a certain way. If you don't, you might be taught to do something else. If your parents did something when they were younger, they might try to enact that on you. So I think when you have to decide for yourself, you have to take time to be able to stand up for yourself if you decide to go against someone you're close to. So I think that could be the hardest thing